I'm 82 years old now. I've been thinking about that fact a lot lately, how long a life can stretch and how quiet it can feel when most of it has gone by. I was a bad husband, not because I hurt her in the dramatic, obvious ways you hear about. No, it was slower. It was in the mornings I stayed at the office too late, in the dinners I skipped. 50 years of small absences, 50 years of thinking, always, that there would be another day to make it right. When we were young, I thought being a provider meant everything. Money in the bank, a nice house, a car that ran. We met when I was 24. She was 22, full of laughter that made my chest ache if I paid attention. I married her, and I loved her. I truly did, but was always tangled in my own ego. The first 10 years weren't terrible. We laughed, we traveled, we had children. A joke that fell flat because I didn't listen. A hand not held when she needed it. I remember one morning clearly, her birthday, our 25th. I had a report due and stayed late at work. She baked a cake and waited, alone. When I came home, exhausted, she smiled, hid the disappointment. I didn't see it happening because I was busy. I always assumed there would be more time. It was 10 years ago. She got sick. Not violently, not suddenly, just enough to remind me of fragility of mortality. She said, "Sit with me tonight. I need you here." I left the office early.
For the first time in decades, I just sat. I held her hand, rubbed her back, and tried to listen without
I wish I could
distraction.
say that changed me. I wish I could say that in that moment I realized all the ways I had failed.
She passed quietly a year later. I wasn't angry. I wasn't confused. I was simply aware. I could feel the weight of 50 years pressing down and the strange, hollow ache of absence. Since then, I've lived in silence more than I have in companionship. I see couples walking by sometimes, and I recognize the choices they still have. I want to tell them to notice, to be present, to speak when words are needed, to hold hands when hands are empty. Yesterday, I found an old letter she wrote me when we were 30. I had forgotten it entirely. She talked about hope, about love, about wanting me to notice her, always. I read it, and for the first time in years, I cried properly. Not just sadness, but grief for a lifetime I can't undo. And yet, there was also gratitude. Gratitude for having known her at all, for having had 50 years with someone so remarkable. To understand that some things can never be fixed, and to sit with that knowledge quietly. And sometimes, just sometimes, to finally understand the weight of what presence really means. If this means something to you, maybe it's simply this. Notice the people you love, not for how they look, not for what they do for you, but for who they are in every small, quiet moment. Don't wait. Don't assume there will always be another day. I am 82. I have lived, I have loved imperfectly, and I have learned too late. And that, I think, is enough to carry with me for the rest of my days. The hardest part isn't the years themselves, but realizing what was lost in them. I wanted her admiration, and in exchange I gave attention only when it was convenient. I thought time would smooth over everything, that the love between us was strong enough to survive inattentiveness. I didn't notice how much I demanded comfort to cover up my own insecurities. She baked a cake and waited, alone. Friends fade, children grow, and you realize that the world doesn't pause for grief. If you assume there will always be another day, you may be waiting too long.